So one of the things that's close to my heart, Chemmy, is trying to get more women into IT. And if you look at the way IT is taught at schools, for some reason we're trying to sort of work through this at the moment. We don't really understand why there aren't more women, because effectively what we're doing is we're losing 50% of the talent of the workforce. And if you look at things like digital marketing, where there's a big women presence in that, we want to try and get the same thing into IT as well. So what's your view on that from a skiing perspective?
Just quickly, from a personal perspective, my son's 6 years old, and I've already noticed they do coding at school, and all the boys, they put coding and gaming together. So all the boys really love the session, whereas the girls don't understand the meaning of it. They just see it as something that is a tick box at school. Yeah. Whereas I think if they saw the career prospects, I mean, we're talking 6 years old, I don't know if you need to go down that route, but I think actually by attaching something early on with something that they see as fun and passionate, you're going to get more interest in it. And this is already at my son's school at 6 years old. He says that all the boys love this class because we do coding, which is kind of the same as gaming, and we're making a game already. And I said, oh, how do the young girls like it? And it's like, no, they don't like it at all. And I thought that was really interesting.
It is interesting, yeah.
I mean, I run running club last year. And actually, the reason I started writing my book on fear was because of something that happened at running club. And we did 7 weeks of training, and it was a voluntary thing. First of all, I'm terrible at running, but I wanted to offer, whilst I was around, to do something for the school. And I've got loads of kits. So we did 7 weeks of training, and, we had 50% girls, 50% boys, and they all loved it. And then we said, right, we're going to do a fun thing next week. We're going to do the bleep test. Now, you and I know that the bleep test isn't fun.
Exactly, yeah.
But I preface this with, this isn't about how far you get. This is about seeing where you are and you pushing yourself to your limits. And I tried to really give them that sense of personal empowerment as opposed to being distracted by the two boys who are very naturally talented runners who I knew would complete this. But I didn't drum it in enough, because we got to level 2, which is very easy jogging. And 8 young girls who I'd seen push themselves through obstacle courses all season just quit. Because as soon as one of them stopped, they were like, okay, now it's safe for me to stop, and I don't want to be the odd one out. And I was like, what do you mean you don't want to be the odd one out because you're succeeding in the task? No, I just don't want all the attention on me. Whereas the boys would go and go and go. And then it got to the point where we finished, and a member of staff came along and started celebrating the 2 boys who had won in her eyes, because they'd completed it. And I had to stop her and say, no, those boys haven't won, because they are incredibly naturally talented young runners, and they're still in their comfort zone. These boys, these 5 boys here who are sweating on the ground, who've pushed themselves, who are, who can't breathe because they've exerted themselves, they're the ones we should be celebrating. The one, they didn't win, but they put in maximum effort. And so I was realising that the re-education of words needs to be very much enforced by parents and schools at young age, because I think girls pick up on it a lot quicker.
Yes.
And I think this comes into account with professional ambition as well, and seeing a lot of careers that they think are not open the doors to. I mean, I chose to be a downhill ski racer. And I remember being really proud and empowered of being a woman in a dangerous adrenaline sport. I'm not going to say manly sport, because it really upsets me when people call certain sports manly and womanly. But after my first Olympics, when I did my first year on the tour, I remember I was hit by this really bizarre lack of confidence in these heroes of mine that I was now racing against, because they were all suppressing their femininity as if their femaleness was lesser. They were walking like men, cutting all their hair off. They thought that if they acted like men, they would be faster on their skis. And actually, it's a legacy that I didn't realise I was proud of. But, part of that, Lindsey Vonn is the greatest downhill ski racer of all time. She went out charged. She ripped her competition apart, including myself. But more than that, she got up before sunrise every morning, did a full face of makeup, eyeliner, highlighting her femininity. Then she went out there, raced on her limit at 90 miles an hour on a men's downhill ski. And it gave us all the confidence to really take care of our appearance, be true to ourselves. If you want to look womanly, there's no reason you can't ski at 90 miles an hour. And that's something that I am proud of, because you used to feel judged for how you looked. And in fact, when I took over Ski Sunday, you know, people who didn't know my history would be like, who's this Dolly bird presenting? And I'm very lucky that I present next to Ed, who's like my Twitter guardian angel, who goes out there and says, she's done 4 Olympics. She was the first British ski racer to win a run in the World Cup. But I was totally getting judged by my fashion and my looks. And I was like, this is ridiculous. I've earned my place presenting this show. So it's still there a little bit.
I think it's there a lot. And I think I'm interested enough to kind of turn it around the other way. I mean, my son went on a course, I think it was a fashion course at Nottingham. He was doing a degree, and he said to me he felt really uncomfortable because he was only one of two men on that course of 130 women. And I think for the first time I could see the other way around. So, you know, if you were, you know, one woman in a sort of a class of 130 men trying to do IT stuff, you could feel why that would be quite intimidating as well.
But you just need mentors. You need people at the top who are willing to speak out about it and give women the confidence, because there shouldn't be anything limiting in life.
No.
You know, life is tough enough as it is. For someone to say, oh, you're really good at mathematics and science, you could go here, but actually the stats say that women don't go here. Well, you know, be that pioneer. Yes, and we've seen that in everything. I mean, very luckily last year on Ski Sunday, I got to highlight the Ladies Ski Club that have been around for 100 years.
I remember, very good.
It's trying to ski on those wooden skis, and there was a huge amount of respect my side. But without those women, I wouldn't be able to do what I do. And you just got to have the confidence to be that woman now for the next generation.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. Yeah, I think that another very topical discussion at the moment is the whole area of AI. And, you know, what's AI doing? Now, a lot of people will see that as being a negative, and there's been lots of forums. I think the latest one in the UK, which was only a couple of weeks ago, that was held. But there's lots of positives about AI as well, in terms of being able to, for example, help with big data from things like cancer, improving things like that. Where do you think that? Do you see a role for big data and AI in skiing?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a role in it in everything. It just kind of needs to be measured. We don't want to take away human control, take away interaction. I was presenting a massive award ceremony the other day with a friend of mine who's the voice of God. So you have the presenter on TV, and then that's the kind of the person who reads out all the names for the awards, etc. Yeah. And she was saying that her job will be obsolete soon because they will replace that with AI, because she doesn't need to be there. And I said, well, I completely disagree, because the banter, the human interaction, you know, we know that being in front of people, talking to people is imperative to mental health. So I think there's a massive place for AI, but I don't think it replaces human interaction.
Oh, no, I agree. I mean, it would be a bit sad if there was an avatar of you and me just talking about this stuff.
But it wouldn't be,
it wouldn't be the same, would it?
Of course not.
No, absolutely. So, well, that's great, Chemmy. I think that's been a fantastic discussion. So thank you ever so much.
No, it's been very,
really
very
exciting.
Fun. Thank you.
And obviously we're looking forward to seeing you on Ski Sunday as well.
Yeah, see you then.
Thank you.
I'll give you a wink.